What's up, everybody? This is Fatima, and today I'm going to do an ancestral message. Okay, so I have some knowledge, some wisdom, and enlightenment that I've been guided to share from the 4th, the 8th, and the 12th house, which is Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. And while we're still in Cancer season, which is very important for those that are on their spiritual journey, healing and discovering themselves, because Cancer deals with the roots, where you come from, your home. Discovering yourself is a very important part of learning who you are, where you come from, so you know where you're headed to. And I have been given the go-ahead to share some of this knowledge and wisdom with the collective. So some of these messages may resonate for you, some may not, but I'm going to give you general ideas also that you can work with to kind of discover more information about yourself. So take the message as you will and do with it what you choose. Okay, so I just want to let you know that I appreciate your support, your subscriptions, and just taking the time to tap into me, pour into me after I pour into you. Okay, so the ancestors that are, they have come to allow me to tap in with the collective energy. They are present for me to give this guidance, okay? Now, we're going to talk about how many ancestors or how many generations you possibly come from. How many generations you are separated from your ancestors since the end of slavery. So we're going to go with the numbers, but you can tweak the numbers according to knowledge of history and things like that, but I'm going to give you a general idea. Okay, so if you see all of these if you notice all of these people here in the picture, this is the amount of spirits that each person has marching behind them. This is the amount of energy any one person carries from their generation. Okay, we are one soul as a collective here on this planet. Many people have not reached that level of understanding yet, but once you get to that level, if this video came across your channel, then you're ready for that, to receive that knowledge. You just have to be open to the information so that you can receive more information. Okay, so we will talk about real quick how to find out how many generations you are from your ancestors. So first thing, what you're going to do is you're going to take your birth year. So I've chosen the year 1970 just as an example, okay? And we're going to use the year of 1865, okay, of the end of slavery. Although, truth is truth, fact is fact, we're just going to take that as an example so you can use the correct information that you choose to use, okay? So say 1970 minus 1865. That would take you to 105 years. Okay. Now, the average years per generation, due to health, habits, and things you have to think back in the time of history, was about 20 to 30 years. As you're thinking of wear and tear of the body and the health and things like that, and different ancestral patterns that were still carried, the lifespan was roughly about 20, 30 years. So you're going to take the information that you get from the calculations that you get from the birth year and the end of slavery, which is 105 years if we're using 1970, okay? So you're going to take that 105 years and you're going to divide that by the average lifespan per generation, which was about 25. If you take the average and somewhere in the median, okay? That will give you 4th generation. 4.2, okay? So then you're going to take that number 4 and multiply it that many times by itself. So you take 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 will get you to 256. That is how many ancestors were or people were that were removed from your generation, because you have to remember, after the transatlantic slave trade, and then however your ancestors were dispersed around the globe, that's how many generations that you may or may not know that have been separated from you. We all have relation to one another, but we may not know it. So if you take those calculations, just using those numbers, that will give you about 256. So this will give you a ballpark figure of how much energy that you walk around carrying, how many ancestral patterns are working in unison to come together as one soul, because you are one soul. And this is a journey of your soul. Each spirit has went through some form of slavery in the past, okay? So now, if you know, you know. And for those that haven't gotten to that point, you'll get to that point, and then it'll make sense. Okay, so that is the amount that is removed from your generation. Okay, so basically, to give you a little bit of optimism when on your spiritual journey, for those that are discovering self, know that there are lots of ancestors that are working with you, okay? Breaking ancestral patterns. Each one of these souls carried those same patterns, those same struggles. And each one of the generation had to be brave enough to free one another. So they work together. So when you look at the 4th house, that is the house of home. That is Cancer. So this is why a lot of people may be struggling with issues with the home, about the safety. Anything that deals with the ancestral patterns that stem from the mother and father being present in the home. The mother being the feminine of Cancer, the father being the masculine of Capricorn, which would give you Taurus and Aries energy, okay? The 8th house will take you to your fears, the secrets, what's in the dark, what you don't know, what's hidden, okay? And then discovering yourself through a different way of looking at things. So you have to look to your spirituality, your beliefs, and deprogram and reprogram from the program in order to find self, because you were taken, you were rearranged, you were given different identities. So it's important to discover who you are, because if you don't know who you are, you don't know where you're going. And this is only for those that are meant to consciously evolve in this lifetime. So now I am going to give you the ancestral messages. Okay, these messages are for those that want to know what your ancestors want you to know about your past life. So this message may or may not resonate for you. Okay, so take what you want and leave the rest. So for the collective, for whoever is watching this video, please give me general ideas that will connect with the collective and help them on the discovery of their true identity. Okay? The afterlife. Okay? You are meant to be blessed after you go through your transformation. Okay? You are probably someone who has to change your situation and use it to your advantage. Okay? You are someone that needs to take what you don't know, basically trust in the unknown. Okay? You have to believe in the idea of reincarnation in order to understand, in order to defeat the odds that were against you. Why is things so difficult? Because of who you are, where you come from, what was done, what generational curses you needed to break. Okay? Some people may have been charmed by Decepticons. Some people may have been taken off of their path because they were deceived. Okay? So, give me some more information for the collective. Let's see. What else? What other information do we have for the collective? You're someone that needs to end generational patterns by choosing to end situations that no longer serve you in order to find yourself. You have to understand that there are higher forces that are working against you and for you at the same time. But trust and believe, and 144 is on the clock as I speak about this, that if you are a chosen one, meaning if you chose to heal yourself, because when you break down the root of the word and you chose yourself, then you become chosen. Okay? And when you choose yourself, it means you're choosing to follow the Most High. Okay? That means you're choosing to be who you are meant to be on a spiritual level. Okay? You have to accept what is in order to move forward. Everything was part of your destiny. And in order for you to move forward, you have to come to acceptance with that idea. Everything was meant to happen the way it happened. Any hurt you've been through, any betrayal you went through was for your protection. Okay? Some of you may be of royal descent. Some of you have to face your fears and know that you're protected by the Most High. And know that these ancestors walk with you. You just don't see them, but you should feel them, because they work through you. Now, when you talk about creation, we go back to the energy of Cancer. Okay, that is the energy that works with creation. That is the mother. That is the symbol of life. Okay, this symbolizes the entry to the woman's womb. Okay, this represents the feminine aspect. Woman creates life. She is the mother. She gives birth. If you look at what's happening in the world today, Mother Earth, Mother Nature, the act of God is changing things due to biblical prophecies and just a lot of people not following down the righteous path. Okay, there's a lot of evil and wicked going on, and those that are meant to awaken need to face their shadow. Some people are meant to move in silence right now. When you create a life force, it is based off of the energy that you are in, the knowledge, your level of healing, your level of understanding at the time. So when a child is born, if you are still carrying energies of lust, of greed, of anger, of hurt, of anything that is unhealed, you carry that energy off into the child. And then that child has to become another ancestor that has to break that pattern. So when a life transforms, it leaves the body and it becomes reincarnated into another life, because the energy does not die. You cannot create the energy as a human being. That is the act of God. But it has to transform and transmute. So you changing your ways, you changing yourself, helps your children to live a healthier life and helps the fruits of your labor to create more generational wealth for you. Okay? So when we're talking about alchemy, we're talking about using your force as a magician, as a creator, to create life and not death. So that goes to say, when you use the alchemy energy, you're using the energy of air, your energy of thought, of the way you speak, the power of the tongue. When you're speaking about the element of water, that is your emotion. That's moon energy. That's Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. That water energy is based off of your fears. And then if you sit in fears, you create generational you live out of generational patterns that stem from fear, that stem from program. And so you have to face your fears in this life in order to ascend, in order to become a different version of self. You have to be fearless by shedding old layers, but it can be scary because they feel like near-death experiences, because it is a death of the ego. And if you choose not to heal yourself and ascend, then you're wasting time here on earth. So you have to see that you were meant to come here and break ancestral patterns so that you can continue to ascend. Because remember, when you remove the element of earth, you can't take any material possessions with you. It is a journey of the soul, right? There's religion that was created to have the order, but you have the spirituality, which is the true energy of creation, because you have to have the thought behind it. You have to have the emotion, okay? You have to feel a way, which is moon's influence. You have to feel a certain way. You have to be under the influence of a certain spirit in order to change. And if you're under negative spirits, you won't change. You'll keep creating those same patterns, and you'll keep creating from energies of hate. It's either, Scorpio tells you, it either is love or it either is hate. If you hate your brother, you do not love God. If you hate your sister, you do not love God. If you hate your mother or your father, you do not love God, because it goes back to the principles, the law, right? So now, if you have the element of fire, fire is the ultimate. Once you bring the elements of air and earth and water together, you have fire. When you take action, fire is an action-based energy. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. It brings you to creation. So if you operate from lust and greed, you will create energy that will attach lust and greed, because energy is energy. You have to attract it. You have to become that energy in order to attract it. But if you're not consciously aware, what happens is you blindly create these scenarios. If you live in your head in an illusion and you have no touch with reality, if you're constantly attached to online relationships and situations that are created through AI and things like that, then you tend to snap out of reality, and you don't heal your spiritual body. Okay, so let me get you some more messages. You were meant to realize that you are a starseed. You're here to evolve spiritually. When you take away all the material and all the possessions, Taurus is telling you that you are meant to get rid of things that no longer align with you, whether they're people, places, or things. And I'm bringing this up because, one, I feel like it, but two, because this retrograde is going to come up, and it is going to affect the fixed signs of Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio, and Leo. Okay, Leo is the pride, right? Pride can make you think you don't have to apologize. You ain't got to do this. You ain't got to do that. But Libra comes in as karma or dharma, because it is based on the way you see things, your perception of things. Whether you hurt someone and you choose to keep going, and you're a person that stabs people in the back and you don't care what you got to do to get to the next level, that will come back, because the wheels of fate are always turning. What goes up comes down. What goes left goes right. What goes right goes left. That is the same sign. That is the same way the energy flows. Just like this. It's just like this. Energy is always flowing, always moving. It is constant, okay? You want to manifest from up above. That's where you get blessings from. So you cannot receive blessings if you are constantly blocking others or blocking yourself. The journey starts with self, all right? So it's important to pay attention to self at all times. Your legacy, you were meant, that is, being a starseed is part of your legacy, all right? Your contribution to what you do in this life contributes to your generational wealth from now into the future. Okay, what you do now will create generational wealth for your ancestry, because the energy it doesn't die. Now, when you remove yourself from the body, what happens is you continue wherever you left off in this physical life in another form until your soul is complete, until you reach peace, which is the 12th house of Pisces, because you have to believe in something in order to understand what is happening. You have to look to your beliefs, and everything else is false, but the Most High is always going to be what he is. All right? So now, once you go through your transformation, you will rise and you will become reborn to another version of self. You'll start to detach from things that no longer align with who you are. You'll start to detach from, it's just like a style being played out, right? Some people hold on to that and they try to preserve those traditions. That's Taurus energy. Taurus is a traditional, programmed, not robotic, but it is by the book way of things. And then if you align that with the times now, we're going into a new time. This is a new era. Okay, there's a new wave that is coming, and people that do not adapt will fall by the wayside, because it ain't what it was and it is what it is. And I'm just trying to help you. Okay, a lot of things were hidden from you. You didn't know who you were. You didn't know yourself. And so you looked for yourself in others, because your ego tells you that you knew yourself the whole time, but you were being false. You didn't remove the mask. And then when you don't remove the mask, what happens is the earth will shake it up and the mask will remove itself, and you'll be exposed for who you truly are. Because the time that we are in now, evil forces have to be dealt with. We're going through a great awakening as a collective consciousness, and people are unable to deal with the ego instead of listening to one another. So the masculine is in charge of this energy right now, because Aries is in Saturn. Aries being the emperor. Aries being the ruler. The first man. Okay, that was created. And when you come down to all the generations, you come down to your masculine or feminine energies. If you're male or female, it doesn't matter, because the energy has to be balanced in light and dark. The dark is the feminine aspect. The light is the masculine aspect, because the masculine is the sun and the feminine is the moon. Mercury is the communication. Now, who you are as a sun sign is just your character. That's your core character, who you're meant to be. Now, your moon sign is your emotions, because without emotions, you don't make a move. Without the thought of Mercury, without proper communication or understanding, Mercury brings you clarity or confusion based on your choice to accept truth for what it is, right? How you transform is very important at this time, okay? Be open to your transformation. You was meant to transform. You were removed. You were far away from home. Okay? You were taken away from home. Some of you may be descendants of Egyptian bloodline, but we'll clarify that in just a second. And so let's get 3 more. But you're free now. So now you have to get back to old self. Sesame Street. Where's Sesame Street? Where's Sesame Street for you, right? All right. So this is just clarity on the overall idea. Now, a lot of people have been sitting in their comfort zone, letting life just pass them by, letting things just slip away, right? It's time to get in alignment. Ancestors are saying it's time to get yourself right, because time is of the essence. A rebirth is coming. All right? Playtime is over. The games are over. If you are getting this message, the divine says stop playing. Time is up. You have to operate out of a frequency of love. That is the only way you will heal. And be careful what you wish for. These are lessons about believing and trusting in the unknown. You may not be able to make sense of what you see, right? Seeing is believing because you were programmed that you have to see it. But you can't see these things or these you can't see auras, you can't see spirits for what they are if you are still unhealed, if your pineal gland is calcified. So you have to change your eating habits. You have to switch up your environment. You have to change your perception of thought, because everything ain't what it is. Everybody's not crazy. There's a reason for everything. A cycle is closing. And it's time to stop doubting yourself. It's time to believe in who you are. This is part of your soul's contract. Okay? It's time for you to trust. It's time for you to come into union and work with your soul tribe. Don't be afraid to be who you are. Because Aries takes action. They are the natural born leader. They are the old soul. If you carry the energy of a hermit, a Virgo, that is the energy of Hermes, the scholar. In order to be the wise one, you had to have done this before. A lot of people that you are attracting are people that carry the same spirit from your past. This is why so many people are on twin flame soulmate journeys, because it is a journey of the self. The deception is the perception that your twin is your lover, the one that stabbed you in the back and all. That was a reflection of your unhealed self. So you have to accept that your twin flame soulmate, who you felt was a cellmate, was meant to stab you in the back and do whatever they did. It was meant to bring healing. It was meant to bring you in this very moment of where you are right now in this life. It was meant to bring you in alignment. If those people, those friends, those co-workers, those lovers hadn't stabbed you in the back, you wouldn't be where you are today. So to let go of the grudge is to say, well, if it was a family member, everyone is a soulmate in some type of way, because we are souls that are having a human experience. Okay? And we have walked great distances. Just imagine, if you are in America, imagine walking from, or taking boats or walking somehow from Africa. Come on now. Even though, we know it's separated by water, but just imagine traveling somehow by foot. You're catching rides on boats and all things are happening while you're on this journey, right? And you get into these contracts with people that don't know themselves either. And you're under the influence of an emotion, because some people don't want to turn around and look at themselves and heal. And they want to run from the problem and attract somebody else that is going to continue to pacify and give them a Band-Aid on those wounds. But sometimes you got to take the Band-Aid off and let the wound air out. And you got to feel, how did you get cut in the first place? What do you really need to do to make that wound heal? Give it space. Put up boundaries. Give it air. Let it heal. Speak life into yourself. Believe in yourself. Fight those inner demons that were embedded in you in your shadow. Where's the shadow at? You have to know that you're protected. This twin flame soul journey is aspected as your shadow. So right now, Cancer being the water energy, the feminine, that is basically you. If you're a man, you need to heal your feminine side. Getting more in touch with your feminine so that you could transform. Take the mampies off. Yeah, I'm just playing. No, but you're meant to realize that there's a reason why you have different subjects in school. There's a reason for that part of the program. Your wishes will come true once you decide to heal. If you choose not to heal and you keep turning your back, then you're telling the universe, you're telling the divine that you're choosing to not heal. And then you'll be just a waste, right? Okay, so you don't want to do that. So what you want to do is continue to heal, but you have to realize that this is part of your contract before you manifest it here. You don't get to decide when you want to end it. It ends when it was meant to end. Okay? You may have had to heal from abusive relationships. You may have enabled people. You may have been enabled. Let me see if I can zoom this in here. Yes, you may have had enablers around you. Yes, people. You could have been a people pleaser. You were abused, and then you continued to abuse others based on the program, what you saw to be true. Okay, you probably are someone that is an adventurer, an explorer, a pioneer, an entrepreneur. Okay, a crusader. Your ancestors were probably crusaders. They probably were explorers. I see someone who has an issue with hoarding. They hold on to things that they don't want to let go of. Okay. There may be a significance about an animal. Somebody may have lost an animal. You may be an animal lover. That spirit, the spirit of that animal follows you as an ancestor. That is a friend. So when you come across other dogs, your ancestor that operated in that pet, because you had a close bond with that pet, that ancestor operated in that pet, and then it transformed into something else. So every time a transformation happens, it takes another life form and it continues on the journey it takes a different shape, but it doesn't die. Okay, you may be a Pisces. You may have lost a child. You may have issues with having children. You may have been deemed as an illegitimate child. Okay. Now let me see. Where's your lineage connected to? What is the lineage connected to for this collective? Your spouse. Okay. You have a spouse. This father had illegitimate children. Okay. So there was a marriage outside of a relationship outside of the marriage. Okay. Your father or your ancestor. This could be a grandfather too. It's a father figure in a war. Okay, so you may have military in your background. Finances. Finances are a big issue. Your lineage is tied to finances. So you could be a royal bloodline descendant. You may have, your ancestors may have worked on the farm. They were probably sold during the war. There's a lot of energy there during the war. Okay, now as for the mother could be a Libra, or maybe you have judges or people that work in the legal sector in your lineage. There could have been some legal issues that affected your lineage, your background, your faith, your trust in your faith has been shifted. There could be some abandonment issues with the mother, okay, or father. Your journey is about learning to forgive in this lifetime. Learning to forgive your mother and your father. But these were ancestral patterns that they carried from another life. Based on their traditions and their customs. Okay? Somebody probably worked in law. The mother or the father. The father worked in law. Someone may have issues dealing with phobias. Okay, you may have a phobia when it comes to the law because your ancestral patterns. Remember, there was a lot of issues. There was a lot of legal issues, legal battles, legal struggles with your ancestors. Some people struggle with the idea of what the Bible says. Some people are struggling because of the prophecies that are being fulfilled. You could have Native American ancestors. Okay, so definitely natives. They also worked in transportation. So look to your finances. The house of finances will be Taurus. Look at the 7th house, which will tell you about there was a marriage. There was other relationships outside of the marriage. It doesn't have to be your mother and father. It goes back to a mother and father. They were sold. Okay, there was some vows that were broken, and there were illegitimate children in a and I feel like the mother and father, they didn't get along. So you grew up in a single family home. Okay. Someone could have been raised in the system. Okay. Somebody could have been raised in a shelter environment or government. I feel like there were a lot of people in and out of the system. Yes. That was part of the karmic relationship. There was some type of compound where your ancestors lived. Okay. Okay, so I'm just giving you that part because I'm going to hurry up and close this message out. What do your ancestors want you to look into? What other messages do we have that need to be highlighted in this ancestral message for the collective? A unicorn is telling me that you were meant to stand out. Okay. You may have been someone that has gone through, you may have a hospitalization coming up. Maybe your mother or father had to be admitted to the hospital for medical treatment. You could be someone that is dealing with medical issues. There was a trauma bond, okay? The mother and father attracted one another because there could have been some issues when it comes to health. Someone may have needed someone for health reasons. And so there was a trauma bond there. So if you look at abuse, there was abuse in the home, okay? And then the mother and father, they were married. And then there was infidelity. And then what happened was there was a trauma bond because they didn't want to continue on with the relationship. That someone could have went to jail, went to prison also. And then the relationships are tied to the different trauma bonds, okay? Eventually, there was some health concerns, some health issues, and the contract was based off of medical needs of some type, okay? Your ancestors have gone through a lot of discrimination. Yes, they say yes. They want you to know that you're protected, okay? Somebody has a fear of death. You have to let that go and face it because this is a transformation. Someone's ancestor may have passed in the hospital, okay? And after that, you formed a relationship. There was a death that changed the dynamic of this relationship that I'm picking up on. And so there were maybe some issues, maybe some fighting in the family over finances. because I'm picking up on whoever this message is for. Someone may have to get a DNA test. There's a DNA test that needs to be done. Someone also may have been to prison for a DUI. Someone may have had issues with the law concerning being under the influence of a substance. This message is for you. Also, they want you to budget your money as well. You could be doing some type of testing in order to make ends meet. This message is for you. There could be some issues with paying an electric bill. Somebody's considering giving blood, but the ancestors also want you to maintain your energy. You could be also experiencing flashing lights in your house. Your ancestors are trying to get your attention. As you heal, you will experience different energies, because it's energy. Okay, so you will experience different phenomenons. You may feel like you tripping. You might catch the light flickering and things like that. Get it checked out if you're not sure, to be 3D about it. But to be in the higher realm about it, that is the energy of your ancestors trying to get your attention. They try to contact you through flickering lights, okay? They want you to know they got your back. They fought in the war. Maybe the Civil War. This person was probably a ruler of an important of a war. They were overthrown in a war. You are supposed to be a high priestess. You are someone that is known as a prophetess, an astrologer. You're somebody that you've always had an interest in the gypsy world. You know what I'm saying? That it's a little bit taboo for you because of what you were programmed to believe. But more and more, you gravitated toward astrology, tarot, the mysticism of things. You like to find and discover truth, because that is a part of who you are, okay? So the ancestors want you to kind of embrace who you are. Don't forget that they got your back. They also, some of you do offerings to your ancestors. That is a part of what your ancestors did too. So Scorpio is saying to connect with your ancestors. If you look on your birth chart and you have a north node in Scorpio, you are to follow the patterns of the traditions of your ancestors. If you go back to history, or if you're not a person that you feel bored with history, just go with the flow. You don't have to rush it, but let things come to you. You have to let go of the negative and balance the positive in order to get the information, in order to get the clarity, okay? It won't come if you're leaning too much to the left or to the right and you're imbalanced, okay? So there is a feminine that is accompanying you to help you heal, but the masculine aspect of you is the driving force. That's who the conductor of the spirit is, right? You are probably a psychic reader. You was meant to be this person. You were told that you are not to believe in yourself, okay? It was taboo. But divine has also been stopping a lot of bad things from happening. You don't see it, but you have to trust that whatever this rejection was that you went through was for your protection and redirection. You have to look to your beliefs and look how far you've come. And you have to know that there is a higher force that is protecting you. Somebody is out here protecting you somehow, because there are a lot of evil forces that have tried to take you down, and but your spirit lasts on forever. You know what I'm saying? You have to tap into the witch within. And if you're called a witch, okay, acknowledge it, own it. But that's you basically just being in your power. 4444 on the clock while I'm saying that. And I'm going to go ahead and close this out because it's time to get back balanced, okay, and get back grounded. But look to your beliefs. Have balance between spirituality and practicality, so that you're not, all loosey-loo and the elevator got to go all the way to the top now. I'm not trying to tell you go out here and do all kind of shit and eat frozen string beans and just sit on people's laps randomly and stuff. I ain't telling you to do none of that. What I'm saying is be practical. Use your common sense. That if things are happening around you, there has to be a reason for it, okay? And it's time for someone, it's time for you to awaken to your true self and tap into your higher power, okay? Yeah, you were definitely probably a soldier in some type of way. Your ancestors were part of a government. They were rulers of a certain empire, okay? Your tribe was a part of an empire. You have to do that research and get that information and get that knowledge, okay? You could have worked in the government sector in special intelligence. You could have been a guard, a mercenary. You could have also been a soldier of some type, okay? You worked in the court. You may be someone who is looked up as someone that gives spiritual advice. A lot of people look up to this leader. You could be a matriarch or a patriarch. There's something significant about the masculine and the feminine in your bloodline. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and leave this message here. And I hope it gave you a little bit of enlightenment and a little bit of clarity. You're not a victim anymore, and you are meant to live a peaceful life. The war is over. The hard part is over. Now it's time to heal your mind and look to your beliefs, okay? Trust the energy, trust the spirit, okay? And shift accordingly. Always transform and always transmute, okay? Stay balanced. I wish you peace, love, and light, and I will talk to you next time. Peace.